The Kang bumping us into this segment here on Middays. We are at the Mississippi Trade Mart for the Mississippi Economic Council's annual Capital Day. Joining us now in the Element Well studios here in the corridors just outside the doors of the main meeting room here at the Trade Mart is Ryan Miller, Executive Director of Accelerate Mississippi. Ryan, always good to see you. Thanks for coming on Middays.
Gerard, thank you for having me. Good morning. It's exciting to be here.
Well, I tell you, great attendance. We just had Kathy Northington on in the last hour, the COO of the MEC. It's so good when you get business leaders, folks from the education community, of course, our legislators and state leaders, and they all come together. This is the way to get things done. I think we get more done when we get these folks together than when it's just a small group of legislators. No disrespect to them, but when they can interact and hear feedback and needs and so forth from the business community and as they do here at MEC, hopefully that is a valuable input into the lawmaking process.
You're absolutely right, and I think if you've heard any thread or common theme this morning, it's been consistency in our conversation, and the more that we do this, and I'm grateful to MEC, to Scott and to Kathy and their whole team to continually understand that bringing us all together, policy leaders, educators, business leaders, having this conversation on a routine, habitual level is really, really important. And this is a great example of having tough conversations at times and also being able to brainstorm solutions to some of the problems we're facing as a state.
No doubt about it. So Kathy said that, of course, it seems like every time you and I are together, we already know this, that the main concern and the biggest challenge employers have is getting an employable, qualified, and reliable workforce.
Right. It is a problem, and it's certainly something that at Accelerate we're facing every single day, trying to develop strategies that we know will work in our local communities and all across the state of Mississippi. One of the things I talked about this morning was the development of and kind of further solidification of our ecosystem structure, being able to have teammates from our office who live in the different parts of the state of Mississippi to make sure that we have direct access to the community-specific needs of our communities, and making sure that as a representative of the state, I can serve with whatever resources we've been blessed with by our leadership, make sure that we are meeting those needs each and every day through our ecosystem structure, and we're excited to see that solidification continue to take place.
The challenge in the past, Ryan, it seems, is that you had employers who had specific needs from a skills perspective and a qualifications perspective. And then you had our more traditional education community that sometimes were producing graduates or even curricula that didn't necessarily align with those needs of the private sector.
Right. And I think what you're seeing now is education is really stepping up. I'm excited to see a lot of our K through 12 partners aligning with some of, a program we're very excited about this year is our Career Coach program that's helping educators to connect with industry in their communities, and more importantly, connect students and their families to all the opportunities that exist. Going to college, you and I, we have a love for Ole Miss.
Sure.
Going to Ole Miss is great. That's a plan A. Going to a community college is also a plan A, or going directly into the workforce is a plan A. And I think one of the challenges over the years is that we haven't communicated those opportunities enough to the people that need to hear it. These career coaches now throughout the entire state have the opportunity of doing that and helping those industries get connected to the people that will come to work for them.
Much needed. Glad to hear that.
Yes.
I think that makes total sense, and folks just need some guidance.
They do.
It's a big, complex, somewhat convoluted world, and where you land and what best fits you is not just something that is in the recipe book, if you will.
It's not, and I think parents need to understand this too. One of the things I've been most excited, there are roughly 140 plus career coaches now deployed throughout the state. I think we through a grant through ARPA last year, I'm grateful to the governor, lieutenant governor, Speaker of the House, Representative Donnie Bell, Senator David Parker. They they helped us procure funding to deploy these 125 career coaches. But we're seeing results coming back of those coaches having interactions with parents and their children.
Okay.
And I'll share a quick aside, Gerard. This is something I think I've mentioned before, but it's important. My own child, I overheard her having a conversation with friends just a few months ago. She's 12.
Yeah.
They said, Shirley Kate, are you going to go to college? Where are you going to go to college? She said, well, and of course my heart sang, I'm probably going to go to Ole Miss. But then she said, unsolicited by me, although I might get a technical degree and go to work.
Okay.
Now, this is a 12-year-old, very smart young lady that's starting to see all the options just because she's heard Dad talk about them. Imagine if we had shepherds like these career coaches who are constantly communicating with their students where they could go and what they could do. Imagine the possibilities.
Yeah, and that could be literally life-changing
at
that point.
Absolutely,
it should be, because you don't want to see any person who launches their career get out and figure out this really wasn't suited for me and have to start over.
Right.
And that's unproductive, and it's painful.
Sure. In fact, I would encourage parents in talking with their children, or even grandparents talking with their children, really help them at earlier and earlier ages, help a student understand. Let's find the intersection between the things for which we have passion, things we enjoy, but let's look to see where the intersection is with where they have natural ability.
Yeah.
And then if you look on the job market horizon to see where those two things align with potential job opportunities, then all of a sudden that pathway becomes much more tangible and much more identifiable, and you can better help and coach a student in the right direction.
Totally makes sense. So I gotta, as I usually do when you and I talk, is discuss and point out what appears to me to be just a wonderful environment at the community.
Yes.
It just looked to me when I did the show up there and got a tour that it just should be the model that we implement throughout the state.
Sure. I think Community and East Mississippi Community College, that's a great example of a community college, economic development, community leaders. They recognize that if they can coalesce their resources, focus their energy together in a single place with industry around, you're going to see a lot of collaboration that's going to both provide for the immediate needs of industry in that area, but what you also see, and where I get excited, is you see a pipeline develop, pathway develop, where more and more students are getting shepherded into the community, whether it's adult learners coming back for new skills, whether it's young people tackling, perhaps some educational paths that have just been made available to them. But what you see is an ecosystem, in my opinion, that's functioning and really coming together and coalescing with a single vision.
The thing, of course, that impressed me the most is something we touched on at the top of the segment, which is you see the private sector and the education community working together, integrating, and understanding each other, and then building these systems and these curricula that make sense.
Well, and I think you're right. And one of the other success stories that I shared this morning, just maybe 48 hours ago, you saw news coming from Pearl River Community College. We partnered with Pearl River with a workforce enhancement training fund in the last year, where they now have a funding to help facilitate advanced manufacturing training that they weren't able to do before. And so companies like Kohler in the Hattiesburg area now have access to state-of-the-art training for their incumbent workers, along with new employees. I think just in the short time frame that's been operational, they've had almost 300 people go through that, and they're also seeing that as a result of that training, they now have higher wages, higher job earning potential. That's an example of a community college like the Community, Pearl River Community College, working with Accelerate, working with ADP, their local economic developers, their community leaders, again, to work together. That's what MEC is, this Capital Day is about. People coming together, sharing ideas, and coming up with a single plan together.
And those are the outcomes that we want, obviously, when we see that sort of success.
Yes.
All right, so from a legislative perspective, Ryan, anything that you're advocating for?
We are. You heard me talking about our career coach program. Again, I'm grateful to Governor Reeves and Lieutenant Governor Hoseman for helping us procure funding through ARPA, and again, Donnie Bell and David Parker. That was one-time money that we're able to hire and locate 125 plus career coaches. We think this is so transformative. Half the school districts in the state now have access to a career coach. Well, the entire entire state needs access to a career coach. So we need to have an increase in career coach funding, and it's got to be permanent dollars, because the one thing I've learned is a good idea, if it's not consistently deployed, is not going to last very long. So we will be advocating with our partners, with, again, Chairman Bell and Chairman Parker, to find ways in which we can procure that permanent funding to expand that, what we think is going to be a transformative program.
Yeah, looking forward to that. Great attendance here at this event. It always is. The MEC does a fantastic job of putting this on, and just the collection and the range of people that come here, and then many of them head over to the Capitol afterwards.
They do.
It's good to see that we have an active economic council, an active chamber of commerce at the state level, if you will. It's pretty important.
I think MEC does an incredible job, and I think that their accolades, their national accolades they've just received, is a testament to their hard work and their dedication to their home state. So we're just excited to be a partner with them, to be exposed to this, and to be a part of the conversation. It's a joy and a privilege.
Yeah, totally agree. So appreciate you coming on, Ryan. Always good to talk to you, and impressed with all the great work you guys do. Keep it up.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ryan Miller, the Executive Director of Accelerate Mississippi. We're stepping aside for a break here on